to Grow Marketer, and this is the Marketing Stream live. So if you're joining me live, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to wait just a second. Oh, it looks like Diana is here. Awesome. Glad to see you here, Diana. Thanks for joining me. No video yet, but I still have a minute. Let me know if you can see it now, Diana. I think right now I'm officially connected. If that's the case, let me know if you're here, if you can see the video, if you can hear the audio okay. I think I need to wait maybe a minute or two to when I hit go live to actually make that connection. All right. Hey, Diana, I see your comments now. Thank you for being here. It still shows 0 people viewing, so that's interesting. But knowing that the comments are coming through, that's what matters the most, right? That means that you're here. I had to pop out and back in to see it. Yeah, I wonder if it's a tablet thing or if it's a computer, phone, like what the connection is. You sound great. Okay, great. Thank you. Awesome. It's funny because the number of viewers is still showing 0. Oh, there we go. Now it shows 1. It must just take a minute to connect. I wonder if that's Streamyard because I'm using a third-party resource or third-party tool, or if it's a YouTube thing, or if it's a schedule your YouTube thing. Who knows? Who knows? But at least it's working, right? So thanks for being here, Diana. I appreciate it. I know you're super busy and have a lot going on, so I appreciate that. Let me know. I have a question. Let me know. And if you're watching the replay, leave a comment below the video as well. But I'm curious what the most common misconception or myth, like related to marketing, that you hear, that you encounter, or that you're constantly doubting. If you're watching the live, let me know in the comments now. If you're watching the replay, or in the chat, if you're watching the replay, let me know in the comments. Let's see here. Diana, it does it on straight YouTube also. Okay, interesting. So it must just be a YouTube thing. Thank you. I appreciate you confirming that. Yeah, so I have some slides to go through, and it's in follow-up to last week's Busting Marketing Myths, which was traffic that leads to sales. And I wanted to hone in on the leads component of that because that is the most important thing. So in order to drive high quality leads, your marketing efforts need to reflect that, right? So that can be anything from establishing lead criteria. It could be the marketing efforts that you're putting into action. It could be whether or not you have personas in place or you just started your business. Like there's all different kinds of factors. But the most important thing with anything marketing related is that it's ultimately generating high quality leads that ultimately convert into sales. So that's how our business continues to thrive. And that's how we can continue just moving forward in our businesses as long as we're making money, right? That's what we're doing. We want to make a difference. We want to provide solutions, but we also need money to survive. The most common myth is probably follows equals leads. Ah, that's a great one, Diana. Yeah, that's true. Because I have heard that. It's been a while since I've heard that, but I have heard that one as well. And I think it is funny because it's so not true. And that I can touch on that in here too. And I think like what you're saying too, you hear that one and the one that I reviewed last week in regards to traffic. If you get higher traffic, whether it's to your website or to LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever, that ultimately equates to more business. And it really doesn't. It's all about the quality of your efforts, and whether it's marketing or creating leads, nurturing that process, the content that we create, the relationships, the engagement that we engage in or interact with throughout that customer journey process. So there's so many different factors. So what I'm going to do is, thank you, Diana, for sharing that. I'm going to share my screen and just go through a couple of slides because there's some statistics in here too that I think are important to share. And then also I'm going to put up a, so here, this is just saying marketing myth for today. More leads equals more sales, which of course is not true. And then I will put this up later, which is a lead scoring thing that I can add later. But So more leads equals more sales. That is completely false. False, false, false. In fact, let's just define what leads are. So the fact is, more leads actually just means more leads. That's all it is. It doesn't mean that it's going to equate to anything. It doesn't mean it's going to generate more revenue. It doesn't even mean that the quality of those leads is there to even warrant a conversation. It's just, they're just numbers. So when we look at increasing the lead quantity, it's not going to drive more sales if the lead quality is bad, right? So we need a higher lead quality in order for those leads, whether the numbers are increasing or it's staying the same. If the quality's there or the quality's increasing, then you'll automatically see an increase in conversions or an increase in sales just because they're higher quality, they're a better fit for your business. If your marketing purposes is to only generate leads and not qualify those leads, you can most certainly increase the quantity. So that's anybody, right? So any of us can generate leads. I can put out my favorite recipe and say, hey, send me your email and I will send you some alternatives to this recipe that are either heart smart or low sodium or high carb. I mean, I can do all kinds of different variations for that, which I love doing, by the way, but that lead means absolutely nothing to my business. The same thing that I get a lot of leads, quote unquote leads on my website, because at the bottom of my homepage, there is a contact me form. And on that form, I get the most generic leads into my system. And they don't mean anything. They'll put their name, their email address, which 99.9% of the time it's a Gmail or a Yahoo or some random email address. And then in the subject and the body, because they're required fields, in the subject, they'll put tree. And then in the body of the message, they'll put computer, like completely random comments that mean absolutely nothing. So those are going to be low quality and not really going to lead to anything, because I can tell by just that information that's been entered that they're not interested in doing business with me. They're not interested in the information that I share for free, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on my website, whether it's on my podcast, no matter where it is, they're not interested in that. They're just more or less going through a process of, submitting information just to see if they can. So that's very low value to me and my business. But why would you want to increase the quantity of your leads if it's not going to generate more money? Now, from a marketing perspective, and I think this is getting better over time and with different companies, and just saying that when you look at the quality and just the overall marketing efforts that are in place and the type of leads that they're generating, that there are ways that you can hone in on what a higher quality lead is by establishing criteria, marketing and sales talking to each other, having a better handoff process, having a better nurturing process. There's all kinds of different things that you can do in the lead generation process or even demand generation process to increase your quantity or increase the quality. But ultimately, if you're going to increase the quantity of your leads, a lot of times marketers would look at that and say, okay, I need to, on my reporting to the executive team or to my manager, I need to report that we've increased the number of leads that we're generating to our, from our website month over month or quarter over quarter, year over year, whatever that time frame is, just to show that the numbers are there. But if I use that recipe example and I put that on my website and I generate traffic to my website in order to submit their email address so I can give them a different variation of that recipe, then yeah, my leads go up, right? Because they gave me their email address, but they have not given me any reason to continue nurturing that relationship from a business perspective, from my business perspective. So a number is just a number. And at least 50% of your prospects aren't a good fit for what you sell. There was a study that was done, Mark Washak, he did a study of like 400 sales reps, and he's very focused on sales and sales leadership and sales training. So he's a reliable source. It's not like a HubSpot or an Aberdeen or anybody like that, but it's still an interesting number, because if we look at the number of prospects or leads that go through our funnels, whether we're an entrepreneur or a bigger business with multiple people, 50% of them aren't a good fit. So at any point, is someone kind of taking a step back and saying, okay, what's the reason? How can we fix this? I mean, that's 50% of our efforts aren't getting anything in return. Hey, fun will now commence. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Hey, Aaron. Yay. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Aaron started doing lives a few weeks ago. I think you're 3 or 4 weeks in now. I think 3 weeks, right, Aaron? I believe so. He had been wanting to start those as well, and then started those. Diana, being more intentional with content can produce better leads for sure. Yes, absolutely. We have to be more intentional, purposeful, just put more thought into it as well to generate higher quality leads. So if we go back over here and say, if we look at lead generation and what it really is, it's how your business attracts and converts anyone interested in your brand, products, or services. It's an integral part of your customer journeys process. And a lot of marketers and even salespeople, leadership teams don't put a lot of thought into the type of marketing efforts that they're creating, and at what point along a buyer's journey they need to be creating or presenting that information to help nurture that process along their path in order for them to eventually convert and buy from you, right? So if we look at 74% of companies say converting leads into customers is their top priority, but 34% don't use any type of attribution model to measure marketing performance, then how do you know what's working or what's not working, right? So you're saying that you want to increase it, but then there's no methods in place or any tools in place that can actually help monitor whether or not you're increasing or converting more of those leads. Go back here real quick. Aaron, episode 3 is tonight. Awesome. Yeah, that was fun. I love encouraging people to do things that they know that they already want to do and just need a little bit of maybe accountability, or saying, and maybe it's a challenge. I don't know if you saw it as a challenge or if you just saw April and I as encouraging you to do it. We support anybody who wants to try something new, especially when it's live streaming, or just anything new that's going to help us professionally or even personally develop and just make us better in what we do. So I'm glad that, thank you so much. Good vibes. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. It was April too. I think her and I are very similar, and we just wanted to support you and help you take that next step so that you could move forward and do something that you've been wanting to do. So that's awesome. Thank you. And I'm sure everything's going well too. I went to your Aaron, I went to your channel the other day too to check it out. So I need to stop in one of your lives and check it out. Let's see, Diana, congratulations. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Diana, for doing that. So if we look at targeting users with content that's relevant to their position along the buying process, yields 72% higher conversion rate. A 72% higher conversion rate, wouldn't that prompt marketers and leadership teams to encourage a change in what they're currently doing? So looking at current practices and how can we develop best practices in order to increase the lead quality and then the quantity and the conversion rates, and looking at your buyers. And of course, this isn't applicable to all companies, because some companies just, if it's a one-time purchase, a lot of times it's just that awareness and helping them through that process. But then if they buy from you, maybe that's all they buy from you. But if you're a company that has a customer base that's going to stay with you for a while, and there's opportunities to increase the number of purchases from you, so upselling and cross-selling and doing all sorts of things to keep them as a customer, then presenting that information along the customer journey is going to be critical, not just for that initial buy, but for the customer retention process of that as well. So keeping that in mind, that when you're generating leads or creating a high quality process to generate leads, that there needs to be some follow through in that thought process to understand what happens at that end point. And if you're a one-time purchase versus a long-time customer model, then that approach might be a little bit different, but still, you want to look at high quality leads because you don't want to waste anybody's time, right? Nobody wants to waste time. All right, so with that in mind, to generate more sales doesn't mean generate more leads, right? So we need to create criteria that determines what a quality lead is. Whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're working with a salesperson, or you're two completely separate departments, a marketing department, a sales department, there's importance and value in working together to determine, okay, when a lead comes through, what does that lead look like? And then understanding if it comes from, in the example I mentioned earlier on my homepage, an email that comes in through that page is a very low quality for me. But if someone signs up for downloading the 6 steps to creating content for the customer journey document, that's going to be more important because they're interested in understanding the type of content that they need to present at the different points in their customer's journey. So that's going to be an opportunity for me to nurture that relationship and help them along that process and understand, what their end goal is. So that obviously is going to have a higher priority as a lead coming in than just a random, form fill on my contact information page or part of my homepage. So that's an important conversation to have with your sales team or just in general when you're looking to generate leads and determining what that is. And that could be for you, if you're 100% focused on LinkedIn, you're still probably generating traffic to your website, but if your sole marketing platform is on LinkedIn, that could be conversations that you're having on different posts, or it could be a DM that you receive from a new follower that's not trying to pitch you their product, of course, right? So there's opportunities to evaluate what's in your process and how to make it better. Now, if you've got high quality leads and you've got a high volume of those and they're converting at a high rate, then you are doing all the amazing things that you need to be doing for your business. And I would encourage you to share that with others, because I think a lot of individuals and even, entire companies have issues with creating a process that works for them and works for their teams and ultimately for their customers, right? Because that's what it's all about. Evaluating your marketing, your messaging, the platforms like I just mentioned, defining your ideal target customer. And of course, I think I say this on every single live and video that I upload, and it's all about personas. Whether you go through a formal process to understand who your ideal customers are, or you just have an idea of who they are, where they spend time, and what pain points you're trying to solve and the verbiage that you need to use in order to attract them. That's important to know, because you don't want to market to everybody, because if you're marketing to everybody, then you're marketing to no one, right? Then you're not really resonating with them and getting to an emotional level that's going to trigger them to see you and to start following you and start engaging with you and ultimately buy from you. So it's important to understand who that person is. Create relevant content for the customer journey process. Like I had mentioned, that's going to be important too, because it's going to be different. Someone who's just come across your company or just come across you as a brand, they're not going to say, hey, there's Vicki O'Neill, I'm going to buy from her. They've never heard of me before. They've just now seen my name, and they have no clue what type of person I would be to work with, the quality of my products or services, what other people have said by working with me. So there's a lot of time that's involved in that process for them to go through the know, like, and trust process before they actually want to buy from you. We all have to earn that right to acquire business. And that goes through our interactions and how we present ourselves and the information that we share with people. Engage with prospects along the way. Of course, nurture the process. That's important no matter what. We all have customer journeys, or our customers have journeys that they go through, and engaging with them along the way when it's appropriate. A lot of times prospects don't want to talk with anybody until they're ready. They will reach out to you when they're ready, whether it's sending you an email or responding to an email, calling you, sending you a DM on whichever social platform they're investing their time in. They will let you know when they're ready to engage. Now, from the other side, the flip side, as a salesperson or someone who is running their own business, should we prompt some type of engagement with them? And I would say yes, but it always comes with it depends, or only when. So there's contingencies that need to be considered before actually saying, yes, you should, because it depends on where they are in that process. So that's why it's important to understand your internal process and the lead customer service or customer journey process, so that you know when it's appropriate to start reaching out to them and being proactive instead of waiting and being more reactive. Go back to the comments real quick. I think I'm missing some things here. Diana, let's see here. Aaron, thanks. Okay, I still can't believe people fill out form on your contact page for no reason. Now, I have no idea, Diana, why they even do that. I think about that every time. I'm like, what was the purpose of this? I'm assuming it's a robot, or there's something going out and actually filling things out. Just maybe they have numbers to hit too. Who knows? They're not high quality numbers, but they could be numbers. Most social media, including YouTube, is still high level marketing. Yeah, I mean, it really is. All the channels are used to attract, for the most part. I mean, they're all inundated with users, and it takes a long time to, one, find our ideal customers, and then two, find a way to get their attention. And that's why it's so important to actually give some thought to what we're doing with our marketing efforts and make sure that what we're doing is relevant. And I think as long as it's relevant, then the rest of it along the process is going to be, I don't want to say it's easier, but it is to a certain degree. Even if you're developing content for the first time, if you understand your ideal customers and you're creating information for them, then it makes it easier to present that along the customer journey process as well. And it's going to be more relevant at the same time, right? So engage, track progress. So it's always important to know what marketing is working and what's not working, which ones are generating results versus a waste. I don't want to say a waste of time, but if it's a waste of time, then don't invest time there. So if LinkedIn is your primary platform for generating business, but you're also on Twitter because you've heard or you've seen that maybe there's an opportunity there, set some time frames for how long you're going to do that, whether it's 6 months, 12 months, whatever that time frame is, and incorporate that into your marketing strategy, your content plan, and then get to know what activity or what engagement opportunities there are on Twitter with your ideal customers, and try it out. But if it's not working, there's no sense in continuing to post content out there if it's not going to help anybody. Essentially it's not resonating with any one person. It's just essentially just being sent out into the world, out into the atmosphere, and nothing's happening to it. So if that's the case, then just understand what's working and what's not, and then make the appropriate changes. And then if you do have more than one person in your overall marketing to sales process, and that lead goes through different hands or different departments or different people, then understand and make sure that everyone who is in that process is understanding what that lead handoff, when it actually happens. Marketing is probably going to be more involved along that lead process than we actually think is actually going to be the case. And, it's not that marketing is going to put a blog post out there and then a lead comes in and it gets sent to sales. Again, there's some criteria. There needs to be some communication and agreement from everyone affected in that process to understand what that lead handoff is going to look like. Are you going to be going through your CRM? What's it going to look like? Is it just going to go to a specific territory, a specific rep? It's going to be a round robin. Just know what that's going to look like and understand that when those leads go in there, is that prospect, 20% along the customer journey, or are they 80%? A lot of times they're a lot farther along in the process before a lead gets handed off to sales, because it's really where it's the prospect's preference. They don't want to be in the hands of sales because they know that they're going to be contacted, and then they're going to be contacted again and again and again, and they just don't want to be in that position until they're ready to be in that position. So leaving them in the marketing hands until they're ready, that's part of the lead handoff process, as well as understanding that customer touch point of when it converts over from marketing and sales. And maybe there's some gray areas there and when that happens. So again, that's just most important to understand internally with your teams when and how that is going to happen. When I'm sharing my screen, I always get it's hard to find my mouse again. The forms. Yeah, high level marketing. Look at your analytics. Yes, thanks, Diana. Absolutely, look at your analytics. That is going to share the information that you need. Ultimately, it's going to tell you what's working. It's going to tell you what's not working. Even on one channel, if you're looking at, Diana and I were talking about this yesterday on YouTube, and looking at your channel analytics and what's working versus video analytics and what's working, and look at all the different criteria that's available and really dive in to see what trends there are. I'm earlier in the process with, the number of subscribers and the content that I have out there. So I'm actually going to invest some time in going through the analytics as well to understand what videos are generating more views and then ultimately likes and comments, so that I can get a better understanding of what's working and what's not working. So analytics is key. Thank you, Diana, for mentioning that, because that is super important. Okay, so marketing myth busted. More leads equals more sales. Not really. It doesn't. Higher quality leads, and defining what that is, will ultimately generate more sales. But knowing that is really the key point, the key component to that whole thing. So I know we have a couple more people that have joined us. So I had mentioned this earlier in the show, but if there is a marketing myth that you either want to have discussed or you've heard about and you're like, I just really don't know if it's true or false. If there's something that you've seen or experienced and there's somebody out there talking about one thing, but you're experiencing it completely different in your business, let me know. If you're here right now, let me know in the chat if there's anything that you would like me to address. If you're watching the replay, let me know in the comments and I will respond to you once I see that message. I think I hit all the different chats. Also, if you know somebody who might be interested in this video or any of the other videos, go ahead and hit share and then share the link with them so they can come here and see this information as well. Don't forget to hit like before you go. Always got to say that, right? Don't forget to hit like. And then if you're new here as well, then don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell notification so you are informed when I go live, and then also when I upload new videos. I go live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I upload one video every week. So yes, thank you so much for joining me today. If you are interested in a lead scoring information like I talked about throughout, this link, the bit.ly link, goes to my podcast episode, which is Lead Scoring 101, and it's episode 8. So you can go to that bit.ly link. I'll put that in the comments as well. But I talk through the different ways that you can do that. And then in the show notes at the bottom, there are different links like to stats, and then also a cheat sheet, a how-to. So different links that you can go to and see those there. But that's the link to access that. So hopefully it's valuable. If it is, let me know that as well. I always like feedback, especially if it's something that could be improved, because my goal for doing these things is to make sure that I'm providing value to you and making your life easier, whether it's marketing or sales. So just let me know. I'm always happy to make changes if it makes sense to do so. And it's always good to hear from you. So thank you so much for joining me today on the marketing stream. I appreciate it. And until next time, make today great. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the comments. And thank you again for being here live. I appreciate it.